Hello and welcome to YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab, and once again I have the pleasure of speaking with a very interesting, this is going to be good, segment. My guest today is Scott Dick, and Scott is the Government Affairs Director for the Monterey County Association of Realtors. And I am a realtor, and I was very intrigued with his topic. And I think I'm going to learn a lot today, and I think we all are, so stay tuned. Welcome to the program, Scott.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. There's a lot going on in government affairs and in Monterey County, and as a person who's grown up here, lived here, loved this area, my background is an interior designer, so I've worked with homes and housing forever and have expanded that into adding real estate. I've become so, first of all, impressed with the real estate industry. And I had avoided it because everybody and their dog is a realtor on the Monterey Peninsula. Some of the dogs are really good. And so I'm delighted that I actually made this leap. So it's opened my world to all the importance and the depth of why I should care about what you're doing and what you're doing legislatively and legally, and what some of the impacts are in my life of these things that we hear about. So what I want to really hear from you and learn from you today is about this program called PACE. And I'm going to let you define it and lead our viewing audience through it, and what difference it makes to them and why they should care. So tell us what PACE is.
PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. Paul, if you don't mind, before we get into that, I'd just like to say that the Monterey County Association of Realtors, they are, like yourself, small business entrepreneurs, and they are in this community, and they support this community. I don't know if you know that last year, MCAR gave $40,000 worth of high school scholarships. We got a grant for $15,000 for the Veterans Transition Center for transitioning veterans from that facility. We've given $2,500 for computers for Cielo, and also about $5,500 in additional donations. It's all coming from the realtor community, and we care about this community and where we live. And so PACE is the Property Assessed Clean Energy is a way, it was originally designed as a way for people to borrow money to make energy efficiency renovations on their homes. And the problem is, or the advantage at the time.
So I'm going to interrupt you here, if I may. A very bad thing for a host to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So if I'm a homeowner and I'm going to do a kitchen remodel, and this is coming from my design background as well. Say the kitchen remodel is going to be $25,000 to $125,000, depending on the scale. I'm going to be looking for energy efficiency, right?
Okay.
So my question is I'm thinking, ooh, there's a program out here that's going to help me. So carry on from there. So I'm coming from the point of the homeowner looking for something that's going to help them.
Well, unfortunately, it's interesting because in California, because of our mild climate, Californians spend more money in energy costs on electronics, lighting, and appliances.
Right.
And those aren't covered under PACE loans.
They are or they're not?
They are not.
They are not. Okay.
Only things fixed to the property like furnaces, air conditioning units, windows, doors, swimming pool pumps. There's a whole list, a long laundry list of items that you can purchase using PACE funds.
Okay.
And so once you've installed that, let's use Windows as a good example.
Perfect, because we all need windows.
Double pane windows. It's about, with PACE financing, I've been seeing averages around $22,000. And so let's say you get the work done, and then when the windows are completed, you sign a certificate, and the PACE provider then puts a lien on your house, and the repayments for this loan are collected through your property taxes.
Okay, so let's dive into that. So first of all, a lien on my home means what?
Well, it is the same as if you have a mortgage for your house. The way that mortgage loan is secured is through that dwelling. So if you don't pay your mortgage,
they take my house.
They can take your house.
Okay.
So the government has something they call super lien priority. So anything that comes with for example, property taxes. That's a very good example.
And we all pay property
We
taxes.
all pay property taxes.
Okay.
And so they actually have what they call a super priority lien. So if you defaulted on your mortgage
Right.
and they had to sell your house,
Right.
the government gets paid first.
Of course.
So that's a super lien priority. Well, what's happened with this legislation is now they've given a private company the same rights as the government entity. So you spent $25,000 for windows.
Mm-hmm.
You financed it at close to 10% interest over 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're paying it through your property taxes. So if for some reason you can't pay that any longer, or you default on your mortgage,
Right.
then they get paid first in front of your mortgage company. So the mortgage bankers are not very happy about this, and in fact, FHFA, which is the Federal Housing Finance Authority, will not touch a house with a PACE loan. And the problem with that is because Freddie and Fannie Mac are what they call GSEs, government-sponsored entities, and they have 85% of the mortgage industry.
Right.
So what's worse is that these PACE providers, Renovate America has the HERO program, California First, Y-Green, Renew Financial.
So these company or these providers that you're listing, they are all providing the PACE loans.
Correct.
Okay. So run that list again. So it's
HERO through HERO, HERO, you'll see those. It's
Right.
Renovate America,
Right.
California First,
Right.
Renew Financial, and Y-Green, which is energy spelled backwards.
Okay.
Now, Y-Green's a different category because they use mellow roofs, and I don't think we have time to really dig into that.
That will be another program,
Right.
and I would like to really talk about that because again, these are things, Scott, that affect us all. So let's stay on pace today.
Correct. So the biggest problem is none of these providers, Renovate America, Renew Financial, California First, Y-Green, come to your house. They don't come to your house. So you might ask, well, who makes the connection?
Right.
Well, contractors. Just
Okay.
contractors who are, and I'm going to use air quotes here, certified
Okay.
by the PACE providers. And basically what they're certified on is the way to qualify a homeowner. So a homeowner, a PACE provider, you might run into somebody I just had this example early this week, run into somebody at Home Depot. It says, hey, do you want a free fill in the blank? And you say, sure, I'll take it.
Sure.
So they come to your house and they'll, in this case, the lady's case, who lives in Carmel Valley, spend a long time telling them all about the great things about solar. This was a solar incident, not a window. And they never once said to her that it was going to be a lien on a property. Or somebody knocks on your door and says, you could really use double pane windows. It's a government program and you get rebates and it really will
Right.
pay for itself to save
Right.
all this. Well, it's not true.
Well, there's this and that we need to hear. Right.
So if, for example, if you looked at the Energy Star documents on Windows, in our climate zone, literally you'll save $65. In Bakersfield, maybe $300 a year. But when you spend, now think about this, these interest rates come in at over 10% APRs. So if you finance $22,000, let's just make it easy, $20,000
Sure.
over 20 years, that price doubles. It'll be $40,000 when you finish paying it off.
Interesting.
So the Department of Energy at the very beginning of this said, you know, we're skeptical. So these energy efficiency loans should pay for themselves. In other words, it should be a return on investment, so your increase in property taxes is paid for by these energy savings. Well, here's the problem. Human nature. One, there's about 11 million homes in the United States built over the last 200 years. Every home is different.
Of course.
And so what the PACE providers have tried to do is try to generalize using, I'm skeptical, these calculators that say, if you put in this, this is what you'll save.
Right.
And policymakers have to approve it. And so they tell them, look, you're going to create jobs, you're going to save energy for your homeowners, they're going to save money, literally, and it'll reduce your greenhouse gas, your carbon emissions. And so policymakers, not having dug into the details, how it's really done, approve it. And so you have people who are acting really as door-to-door salesmen who knock on the door and say, hey, you could, are you interested in fill in the blank? There's a real long list. And people like the idea of having double pane windows, but they won't save anything. And the part that we're seeing in the industry across California is People aren't losing their homes in the traditional sense like they did during the mortgage crisis.
Exactly.
Because they defaulted on their mortgages.
Right.
What's happening is people are losing their homes through what I call soft losing.
Yes.
Because they can't pay their property taxes.
Really?
Yes. They're told it only costs a couple $100 more a month. When we're talking a couple thousand. In a case that is CBS 2 down in Los Angeles did an investigation. She borrowed the consumer homeowner borrowed $30,000 for an air conditioner and $20,000 for a paint job. So that's about 9 times what a normal contractor would bid on a paint job.
I was going to say that's. Yes.
Yes, indeed. And so they got her on camera saying, I've lived here my entire life and now I have to sell because I cannot pay my property taxes.
Interesting.
And it's not just in Southern California. The woman I talked to on Monday had the same story. She lives in Carmel Valley. A colleague of mine is in Tulare County in Visalia. He just sent me a first-person account of the same thing where the person told him, when he had cold feet and he got a bid from Lowe's, the Lowe's bid was $10,000. The bid from the PACE provider was $20,000.
Oh, interesting.
And Lowe's said they would finance it for 5.99%. And when he went back to the PACE provider contractor, they said, too late, these windows are custom made, you don't really have a choice.
So he was stuck. He's
stuck. And it's a loan on his house, and he's going to pay double for those windows.
So as a consumer, Scott, this is really why I love doing this, because it's information that people can make their own choices on. So as a consumer, if I am renovating my home and I am looking at this and I want some new windows, just because that's a classic here, what do I do? How do I navigate intelligently through this?
Well, there's two things that I think that people have to really keep in mind, and that includes policymakers and consumers.
Right.
That is, the purpose of this law was set up much like the same mechanism that pays for streetlights and sidewalks.
Right.
It needs to serve a public good because it reduces greenhouse gas emissions from these older homes especially. And because of that, they're allowed to collect it through your property taxes. And so you really need to make sure that the contractor bids what everybody else would bid. And because they only do an evaluation of the equity in your home, they have no restraints about, they could bid for example, these windows that Lowe's bid for $10,000, they can bid for whatever they want because they're going to get paid because the homeowner doesn't get the money. The PACE provider pays the contractor directly. Now, the homeowner has to sign a certificate of completion. I mean, there's some, but there's not the kinds of checks and balances that is required for a home mortgage, for example. For example, there's no workup on the homeowner's ability to pay these extra property taxes. We know that's a violation of the Homeowners and Equity Protection Act, right there. It's also a violation of California state law. There is no written appraisal done of the home. They're using automated value.
Really?
Yes, AVM, or the assessor's valuation, and you know as a realtor that's not accurate.
Oh, don't even get me started on the inaccuracies of information on the real estate market on the internet.
So there's
I should do a program on that.
That's also a violation of federal law.
Yes.
That if you're going to loan money on a person's primary dwelling, and that has first lien priority, then you have to do that workup on the home too. Professionally written, certified licensed appraiser on the home, because that tells you really what a homeowner's equity is.
Of course.
And then their ability to pay. And then the third thing is the fact that, let's see, it's home equity, it's a person's ability to pay, and there's a couple other, slipped my mind.
That's okay. Well, what this tells me is what we as consumers are being presented with, and legislators, and I think that is really a strong point that you make, that our legislators are as human as we are. They're making judgments on information that's put in front of them.
Correct.
If they don't get all of the information or it's not presented factually, they're going to make a decision which probably they didn't intend, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
So as consumers, I think that this is so valuable to know what are the real implications of these things that almost sound too good to be true.
Well, that's exactly what they are, too good to be true. And the to answer your question earlier, I think it's really important that people, the consumers who are thinking of doing a renovation and they're thinking of doing things that are covered under PACE, to get multiple bids. That's just common sense. Get
Right.
multiple bids,
Right.
one from a non-PACE provider.
Right.
If somebody knocks on your door in the 21st century, I, like many other people, just send them away.
Oh, of course.
So that reminds me of the old Tin Men back in the 50s.
Yes.
And so to get those bids and to look at your own ability to pay an additional $3,000 or $4,000 a year in property taxes, because that's not going away. That's
Right.
sticking on your property tax bill until you've
For
paid
a
it
long
off
time.
for a long time. And I think one of the things that we've done at MCAR and working with CAR is to create a website called slapfinance.com.
Okay, so say that again, because I really want people to get it.
Slapfinance.com. And what SLAP stands for is self-imposed liens against property, because that's what you're doing.
Right.
You're imposing this lien against your property yourself. You sign a 29-page contract that allows this to happen.
Right.
And so slapfinance.com has the information that you can use to ask these questions if a PACE provider knocks on your door.
Right.
Or you answer somebody at Home Depot, say, sure, I want something free.
Right, right.
And slapfinance.com has a sheet that you can download, both one side for consumers and one side for our realtor members.
Right.
Because, our clients ask us first.
Of course.
And so they can look at that. They can watch the 2 videos of the Los Angeles CBS2 investigation, first into Wired Green and how a family who got solar thought they could sell their property and they can't, and that equity was part of their retirement.
Oh, boy.
And the other one is this woman in Southern California who had $50,000 in loans. I questioned $30,000 for an air conditioning unit and $20,000.
I questioned that myself.
And $20,000 for a paint job. But,
She's going to be really cool.
but she has it, and they showed in that CBS2 investigation, they showed those 2 contracts, and of course Hero said, well, she signed them.
Yeah.
Well, you've had to close enough deals
Oh,
that you know
yes.
how consumers, when they get to that, they put their
Right.
name on whatever they
Right.
need to. And so I really think it's incumbent on our policymakers
Yes.
to become more informed on the implications and how this program is administered on the street,
Right.
because that's what's important.
Absolutely. And I think, you've really educated me, Scott, about how, as a consumer and as a real estate professional, it's incumbent upon me to have the resources available to direct people. So tell us again, in closing, how people can reach you or reach information about this topic.
Well, it's slapfinance.com. And
So it's SLAP?
SLAP, and it's don't slap yourself before you get the facts, because that's basically what's happening.
Oh, okay.
So that's how you remember that.
All
So
right.
slapfinance.com, and
Okay.
on that is a comment sheet. Well, if they have questions, they can email. It'll come right to my email box.
Perfect.
And I'm open for professionals or
Excellent.
residents who want to get more information on slap
Fantastic.
financing.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly, incredibly valuable.
My pleasure.
We will be back. I'm Paula Joy MacNab, your host of Your Town television program.